Alrighty, so we're in Iceland currently. We're at the Arrowhead Mountain and the Kirkavus Falls, but it's kind of cloudy today. I wanted to teach you guys how to do long exposure photography today. A lot of people have been asking, because I do a lot of waterfalls and rivers long exposure, so I figured I might as well give you a how-to on what I do. So currently I have my Canon 6D Mark I set up here, and first of all, you want to figure out your composure, or composition. So I'm going to set my composition fairly center. For this case, we'll zoom in a little bit on it. And I have the grid on so I can tell my rule of thirds. But in live view, it looks pretty good. You're going to want to have a slower lens, so you're going to want to drop your f-stop way down. So if you have an automatic lens like this, you're going to have to go into go into your settings and change your f-stop or your aperture down. I changed it all the way to the bottom at 22, which means that it's collecting less light. It is closed. It's the amount of stops that it is closed. So I have it at f22 at the moment, but you can have it whatever you want. And one thing that'll always help is having a neutral density filter. So I currently have a graduated neutral density filter, which means I can open it or close it, and it allows me to do about 5 stops. And by having this, it allows a lot of light to be blocked, which means you can do even longer exposure when it's bright out like today. So I can put this on, get my composition right, there we go, drop it down a little bit. And then it all varies on whether you have a neutral density filter or if you have a f-stop that is fairly low on how long your exposure can be. So for right now, with how bright it is, I'm going to push mine to about 6 seconds, and I have my ISO as low as it'll go. So 100 for most cameras, or in my case, I have it at 50. And if I put a 2-second timer on so I don't have shake, I start the exposure, it'll be 1, 2, now it starts it. And we just wait. Boom. So it gives me a fairly good photo, and you can see that the falls are blurred, and I made my focus mostly on the foreground, which means that the rocks in the foreground will be in focus and the background might be a little bit blurred. But at an f22 aperture, the focus does not matter as much because your depth of field is not so far behind. But that's pretty much it for long exposure. It can help if you have an intervalometer or remote, but I just use the 2-second timer just so that there's no shake in the tripod. Adding weight to your tripod helps as well, because right now it's a little bit windy out here, and adding weight will allow it to not have any shake. But other than that, it's pretty simple to do, and I recommend always using a tripod though. You can set your camera on a rock if you need to, but tripods are the way to go. So get a tripod, set your timer on a remote, and drop your f-stop as low as it'll go, and you'll be good to go. That is the basics on long exposure photography during the day.